right, so what we're doing, we're going to go talk to Dr. Kim Patterson. He's a pastor over at City Church. He's been a mentor of mine for a number of years, actually going on about 10 years on and off. But I go to him to counsel and just to get wisdom. He's also written a book. It's called Becoming Visible: Social Justice by the Hands of Faith-Based and Grassroots Organizations. And so we're going to sit down with him and talk to him about this book. So you wrote a book, Becoming Visible: Social Justice by the Hands of Faith-Based and Grassroots Organizations. Why that title?
Well, Becoming Visible, the title came as a result of two events in my life. The first came as a result of a personal experience. About 8 years ago, I went to bat for an issue of social injustice against an individual in this city, and I was amazed at how many lawyers refused to take the case because of the political ramifications, because of the political correctness. And it got me thinking about, okay, if a person like myself has difficulty getting legal counsel to address an issue of injustice, how do people who are poor, who aren't legally savvy, who have no money, but they have been treated unjustly, how do they get their voice heard? And so, in essence, they are invisible. You know, sometimes in our world, especially amongst faith-based organizations, there's this fear or stigma with the word social justice. And I've been hearing that that's not a part of the Bible, that those people should take care of social justice. We should just be focused on this. But the Bible's full of social justice issues. If you think about even in the Old Testament, it was written in the law that there should be cities of refuge. Mm-hmm. So that means if anybody ever made a mistake and accidentally killed somebody, you couldn't just go right after them and take them out. If they could get to a city of refuge, their voice could be heard. It was brought before the people and due process took place. That was in the Old Testament. Jesus, even himself, Luke chapter 4, when he began his ministry, he says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me to heal the brokenhearted, minister to the poor, those who are bruised." He's talking about people, those who are in prison. All through the scriptures, he's talking about serving people. So social justice has always been a part of the scriptures. I think it's just now that there's an awakening needing in the church to say, hey, you know what? We should be doing something about these issues and being a part of the solution.
Right. But you had talked about in your book that America is really a culture of dishonor right now. Can you expand on that thought a little bit?
Sure. We start off talking about a concept of an IDC, which stands for inhospitable, dishonoring culture. Uh-huh. By inhospitable, I mean things that people should do to help, but they don't. And then dishonoring is things that people do that are just flat out wrong. Here's an example I brought up in the book. Native Americans have been for years trying to get the name Redskins removed from the Washington Redskins football team. But those in the IDC, as I've defined, those who have power, who have influence, who are benefiting from an injustice, doubled down and said people are proud of the name and right. It doesn't impact us, get over it, we like it. By that same token, in that same state, Washington, the basketball team, the Washington Wizards, used to be called the Washington Bullets. Washington has been a murder, homicide capital for years. The owner decided, you know what, I'm going to become visible in this regard. I'm going to make a difference. And so he changed his name from Washington Bullets to Washington Wizards. So it can happen. Someone can make a difference to affect change, to relieve pressure on a vulnerable group.
They need influence.
They need influence, exactly.
Why should people get involved? Why should people make the changes?
You live on the east side, I might live on the south side, but what's happening on the east side will trickle over to the south side eventually because we're sharing the same ecosystem. You remember when heroin used to be seen as just a low-income, urban, ghetto, it was in the hood, and there wasn't a lot of support for it. You know, people were dying. Well, now heroin use and other drug use has trickled to other suburban areas, and so now we're hearing things of it's not so much an immoral act or a crime. It's seen more of now it's an epidemic.
We got to find a way to help everybody.
It's a sickness. It's a disease. Yep. We have to help. That's an injustice. That's a dishonor. How come it wasn't an issue when it was happening here, but now that it's happening here, now it's an issue? Everybody's life's important. It's not right if it happens to anybody. We have to address this because it impacts all of our world. And so I want to challenge every pastor that don't be just concerned with getting people to heaven. We have to help people live while they're on the earth. And that involves social justice. We have to get involved because our people who come, they need to know that their voice is heard. Otherwise, the gospel that we preach is just, it's like a narcotic. It's just numbing you to get through another week. But the gospel that Jesus preached was a social justice gospel. It was an action gospel. It affected change in the marketplace. And that's the mindset we have to have. Truth be told, when issues that impact the poor, the vulnerable, even faith-based churches, when they arise, we come to the battles pretty late. And if we do come, we come in shifts. As opposed to everybody coming, we come one at a time and we're losing because we come for that reason. So there's a great need for awakening.
Yeah.
And a greater sense of alarm. There's also a greater need for us to talk.
Right.
You know, we need to get past the essentials, not essentials debate where, okay, so you're a different denomination. Does that mean we can't talk about issues? My hope is that people who read the book will be inspired to say, you know what, I can make a difference. The last chapter is called Getting Into the Game. They'll feel prompted to actually make a difference right where they are and get beyond the borders, and let's just work together to address issues.
It sounds like if I open this book and read it, that I might be...
You're going to get challenged.
I might be put into an uncomfortable scenario. Oh, I don't know if I want to do that.
It's not bedtime reading, okay? It's going to challenge you. I'm hoping it gets in seminaries or gets in college universities. It's a book that really challenges you. And that's the design.
Well, that's Dr. Kim Patterson. Get this book. And if you live here in Anchorage, you can actually come find him for him to sign it for you. Once again, where can I get this book at?
You can get it through my website, kmarproductions.com. There's a link that takes you straight to my publisher, Zulon Press, or you can get the ebook through Barnes & Nobles or Amazon. Thanks, Lonnie.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody, for supporting. Become visible.